Hello, I'm Alice Murray, editor of The Line, and delighted to be here at the CapLink European Private Equity Summit, and even more delighted to be joined by Riccardo Basile from Permira. Hello, hello, Riccardo.
Hi, Alice. Hi.
Hey,
Very nice to be here.
very pleased that you're here. So you're fresh off your panel, and you've been talking about value creation. Before we jump in, can you just tell us a bit more about you and your role with Permira?
Sure. So, Riccardo, I've been at Permira now just over 10 years, and I take care of what we call the value creation team. So, it's a team of professionals covering from Menlo Park in California all the way to Shanghai in Asia, supporting our portfolio companies drive the value creation.
Super. Okay. Now, you mentioned there the global presence of Permira. Certainly, in my years covering private equity, I've always known Permira in Europe, and obviously you have a huge presence here. Can you tell us about Permira's US activity? Maybe start with, when did you start building presence out there?
Yeah, absolutely. So, Permira is, as you said, a very old European fund. We've been around for over 30 years. We started actually in the US fairly early on. So we opened our New York office in 2006, and we opened our Menlo office in California in 2008. And today, in the latest fund, in the more recent fund, so our Permira 8 and Permira 7, actually our US presence accounts for about 50% of our assets that we have.
Okay, that's okay. I didn't know it was that big. That's really impressive.
And this is across all our four sectors.
Uh-huh.
So we are investors in consumer, healthcare, tech, and services.
Yeah.
And we do invest across those four sectors, both in Europe and in the US and in Asia as well.
Okay, let's drill into that then. How does that work in terms of those sector specialisms and having that global presence? What goes on in the US? How do you model it out?
Yeah. So the value creation team at Permira, as I mentioned, has got 25 individuals. And we have a global coverage. And we resource ourselves across the globe. So we bring experts from the right part of the Permira office network into the right portfolio companies. The way we have built the team is very much on a sector basis. So we have individuals that are spending 80, 90, 100% of their time on a single sector because they do have functional expertise that is highly relevant for that specific sector. In the US, we do the same. But what is interesting is that we have built our tech expertise in the value creation team in Menlo Park, because that's where we do a lot of our investments in tech. We do from Menlo and from London. But B, because we think that some of the expertise you get in the US is actually better, more advanced, more dynamic than what we could get in Europe. So we have experts in go-to-market, in tech, and they cover US and European assets. We have experts in pricing and packaging, experts in R&D specific for tech. Similarly, for services, so while the value creation team in services is a bit more spread across the globe, so we have people in Europe and people in the US, our go-to-market B2B service expert is actually in the US. Because again, the expertise the US has in sales and marketing tends to be B2B, tends to be higher than what you can get in Europe. And so Derek, who joined us about 2 years ago now, is spending, I would say, 70% of his time in the US, but actually 30% in Europe, helping our services companies here.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that seems so sensible, finding those talent hotspots and then applying those people as and where they're needed across the portfolio. Great. Okay, so then am I right in thinking that it's, having that global team, having a global portfolio, how does that work in terms of, how do you model out how that value creation piece is gonna happen? How do you match it all up? Is it regionally based?
So it's not. So we try to bring the right expertise in the right situations. And I gave you examples of the US exporting their expertise to Europe. We actually do the opposite as well. So whenever there is a carve out in the US, I tend to get involved because that's an area I cover. When we've done work on healthcare and consumer, where today in the US we don't have experts, we bring European experts, so individuals that can help go to market for pharma companies or SEO, SEM, marketing optimization for our consumer businesses. So we really want to bring the best of the individuals we have at Permira to the right situations, to the right portfolio companies, regardless of where the portfolio company is globally. Also because most of our portfolio companies are truly global. So although they might be HQ'd in Menlo Park or in Boston, a lot of the revenue will be in Europe and vice versa. We have European companies with very strong revenue in the US.
Which is going to be obviously such a fundamental part in the growth journey you take.
Exactly.
Super. Okay. Let's look ahead to the future now. Talk to me about, your plans. It can be immediate or long term, what you want to achieve in terms of value creation, and if there's anything specific that's happening in the US.
Yeah, so we will continue investing heavily in the US. So the target is always to be 50-50 between the US and Europe in terms of the AUM that we put on the ground. The growth will continue across all 4 sectors. And so from a value creation point of view, the plan is to build the local presence with local resources, local professionals in the value creation team in consumer and healthcare, where today we're a bit more, as I said, we don't have individuals. And so looking forward to bring new members to the team.
Yeah, fab. Excellent. Okay, well, look, really interesting to speak to you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Alice.